Because people who say one thing and do that thing, not say one thing and do another, people like that, they are great to learn from. That is a great aspect, trait, characteristic to learn and to take home with you, everyone, me included. I'm so, I want to say jealous, but jealous is not the word. It's more like that is such an aspirational quality. And I really want to be like that. Like, I really want that quality. Um, yeah, it's like, yeah. So, anyways, as I think about that quality though, like saying something and following it up, being consistent, but also being true to your word and being true to yourself. What I realized is that in order to be that type of person, you have to, one, know yourself. You have to know who you are, and you have to be able to stand by that and stand behind that. You have to be able to be willing to fight for who you are. Like, you have to be willing to hear someone say who they think you are and correct them. You have to be willing to correct people when they are wrong about you. But that doesn't mean fight them when they insist on being wrong about you. You know, like when people insist on misunderstanding you, you just leave that alone. Because it's like, oh, you want to do that, so I'm going to let you do that. But if you want to know me, understand me, and be in my space, then you need to know that what you believe about me is actually a misunderstanding that's not true. And I want to correct you so that you're not disappointed, shocked, or dismayed in any way when you see that who you thought I was does not align with who I actually am. So let me give you the heads up now, because I would like us to have a harmonious relationship. But if you don't, then feel free to continue thinking what you think about me. That can be true for you. Just as long as you keep that over there. You know? Don't come in my space with that. Right? And that's how those people are. They know themselves so damn well that they're able to just walk around and tell people, like, this is who I am. Love it, I hate it. That's it. And the other thing, the other trait, the other characteristic about these types of people that keep their word, right? That are true to themselves, they have discipline, right? They keep their word to you because they keep their word to themselves. So, like, they'll make a decision, right? Or they'll make a promise to themselves. They'll say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wake up 5 a.m. to exercise and juice, whatever it is. And that's a promise. Even though they didn't say, I promise that I will do that to myself, they kind of made a promise. They made a contract with themselves. And so on days when it's like, oh my God, the house is freezing, I don't know, like they didn't put on the heat well last night. So you wake up to a freezing cold house and your bones are like, and your muscles are like, so you don't want to get up. And you get up real slow and it's like, exercise today? Ugh. Juice today? Ugh. Another day. When they fix this heat. See, these types of people, they don't think like that. They don't think like that. They're like, damn, my bones hurt. But today is the 7th day. I'm not going to miss today. And if they give themselves an extra 5 minutes to like shower in hot water to release their muscles, they do it. But they get it done. Like, they keep their word. And another thing I noticed, so I guess this is number 3. If they don't keep their word, and this is just something I noticed, I don't know how I feel about it yet. I really don't. If they don't keep their word, they tend to be very like severe about it. You know, like if for whatever reason they couldn't or they didn't push through, it's like tomorrow they got to exercise 3 times as hard. And they have to make it hurt. And they have to make their body remember the feeling of this excruciating pain because they didn't keep their word, so that next time they will keep their word. And I'm like, God damn, like, is that serious? When I first started seeing that behavior, I was like, that's a little severe. That's a little too severe. Like, oh no, like, you okay? You good? Like, you need help? That was probably 5 years ago. Now, I think of those moments and those things and that response to their own behavior, and I'm just like, oh, this is probably why this person is so disciplined. They don't wait until life and circumstance disciplines them and corrects them. They correct themselves first so that they don't make the same mistake again. And if they do, they're quicker to correct it in that moment than after the fact, so that life doesn't have to do it for them. And again, that's something I admire, because as someone who probably still needs help, but who's always needed help with discipline, especially when it came to knowing when to leave. Ooh. Oh man. That's always been like a hard lesson that when I don't do it, I always get like harsh consequences. It'll always be like, I know this is not good for me, I need to leave. Or I know they're not good for me, I need to leave. Whatever the situation is that I don't need to be here. And the sun sign in me is like, yeah, but you're already comfortable, you're already familiar, like this is safe. Whatever you do, you are gonna end up, starting new and afresh, and it's gonna be scary. Don't do that. Girl, I don't do that. And what ends up happening is I get kicked out. Crazy. Crazy. Can you imagine being fired from a job you hated that you were the best at? How does that happen? I'm trying to remember, has that happened more than once? I think it does. I think it did. It has happened more than once. Yeah. Anyway, can you imagine getting cheated on in a relationship you didn't even want to be in? That has also happened more than once. It's so crazy. And then the thing that I have to point out is that it had to happen more than once. For me to really like let that lesson click, it had to happen more than once. And that's what we're not doing anymore. No. We're going to learn to discern, one, but two, if we have to learn from a circumstance, we're going to learn from that circumstance in that moment. We are not going to repeat the same cycle more than once so that we have to get hurt the same way more than once, so that we have to suffer the same feelings more than once and pity ourselves more than once. Like, what the no, what? Let's learn from the people who keep their word. Let's learn from the people who are impeccable and are really disciplined and discipline themselves. Because those people, you know what they do? The moment that they see this relationship, this situation, this environment is not for me, they leave. And you're lucky if you get an explanation. If you ask, you're lucky if you get an explanation. Because chances are, the only reason why someone would get an explanation after they ask is if that person was really close to, like, you guys were really close. Then they will respect you enough to give you that explanation. But they don't feel entitled to. And I appreciate that, because you shouldn't have to explain why you're leaving something that's not good for you. Especially if it's so obvious. Like, half the time, oh my god. Oh, this is me. It's all coming back to. But, like, personally, me, my emotions are written all over my face. They really are. So if I don't want to be there, you know it. And if I feel disrespected, you know it. And just, if, it's here. It's here. You can read it. So it's not hard to know. So if you're able to read that, and then you ask me why I'm leaving, nah, you're just playing dense. Like, you're playing games. Because you know exactly why I'm leaving. So it's those moments where people will test your gangster. Like, oh, why are you leaving? And you have to decide what's best for you to do. Is it best for you to sit here and explain why you're leaving so that they can talk you out of leaving? Because that's what happens to me. But you see what doesn't happen to the people who know themselves and the people who are impeccable with their word and they keep their word to themselves and to others? They will look at you and decide if you deserve an explanation. Because they're able to instantly discern why you're asking. What is your motive in asking why I'm leaving? Do you really want to know? Do you really not know? Can you not deduce? Right? And so they kind of like spin it back to you to be like, are you sure that you're not using all of your brains here? Are you sure you're not using all of your thinking skills to understand why this is the situation that it is? Like, why I'm leaving, or why this place is not good for me, why this interaction, this environment is not good for me, right? So it's these types of skills of deduction, of discernment, of feeling people out, of being able to realize, like, what is the motive of why this person is asking these questions? What is the motive of this person's actions even? Because even in that, another thing, what is this, 4 or 5? This might be 4. Another thing these people are good at doing, right? They're good at observing. They're good at sitting back and watching, witnessing what is happening, the roles that people are playing, the roles that they are, like, what's the word? The roles that they assume and who they actually are and want to be. And what I realize is, like, that's not that big of a superpower. Discerning, or like witnessing, observing, it's really not. It just takes patience and stillness. Like, you have to be very still to sit back, just like breathe and just watch. And just see what's going on. And just, like, not even judge. Because that's what a lot of people do. They watch and they judge. They come to conclusions. They jump to conclusions, like, super quickly, very fast. But what I notice about these people, they don't judge, which is so funny, because you would think with the characteristics that they have that are so aspirational, that they would feel the right to judge people. But the best ones, the good ones that actually really do exemplify this type of behavior, this ability to be impeccable with their words, they don't judge people. They don't. They just watch people. They assess people, and they're right about people. And that's what be hurting sometimes, because, like, it may seem like they're judging. It may seem like they're judging you. It may seem like they're judging them. But actually what they're doing is telling the truth. They're just telling it how it is. They're able to look, observe, and correctly assess, this is the situation. This is what's happening. This is that person's MO, which is probably because of this trauma that they have. Da, da, da. And you know what's crazy? They don't even go into all of that. If they do, that's how you know these people, they like you and they care about you and they want you to learn. If they go into all of the psychology of what they witnessed, they don't give that for free. They don't give that for free. They store that away and they keep that here so that they can act accordingly. Yep, making a deduction. And because they do that, they tend to be a lot less reactive. So what is that, number 5? These people are a lot less reactive because they're still, they watch, they observe, they deduce, right? But they don't judge. And so because they do all of those things, right? And they know who they are and they discipline themselves, they don't take things personally. Yes, they hold you accountable. Yeah, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow. That's a good point too. Thank you for that. They hold you accountable. Why do they hold you accountable? Because they hold themselves accountable. In that self-discipline, in order to be disciplined, you have to take accountability for your actions. So like when they wake up late and they're not able to complete the task that they set for themselves, like waking up early to exercise and juice at 5 a.m. They wake up at 7. They gotta go straight to work, or they gotta take care of whatever it is for the day. They're not able to do what they promised. The next day, it's like 10 times harder. If they're juicing, it's like a green juice that's a detox because you need to learn discipline. You didn't wake up on time, and it's 3 times as hard to work out because I'm holding you accountable for not keeping your word yesterday, for not waking up on time, for not prioritizing going to bed on time. But whatever the case is, the reason for, which is very understandable why you can wake up on time, but there's no excuses. You didn't wake up on time. I did not wake up on time. So because I did not wake up on time, today or this next day that's after the day I didn't wake up on time, these are the things that I will do to ensure that I discipline the behavior that's lackadaisical, making me believe it's okay to not keep my word and wake up on time. And it's just a beautiful way of being, I see. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all of it. Especially being able not to take things personally. Because the reason that a lot of people, me included, if I'm speaking on it, is because it's me. I'm talking about myself here. The reason why a lot of people are reactive, the reason why I've been so reactive is because I would take things personally. We take things too personally. Like, you think that what that person is doing, they're doing to you because of you. And what I noticed about being reactive, via taking things personally, when you take things personally, it's gonna be so hard to like hear this and say this. But when you take things personally, there's a level of self-centeredness that is causing that to happen. Like, you think that, and this is live, so I see myself. It's so funny. I'm like literally talking to myself. Like, you think that people are thinking about you? Oh man, like, you really think people are sitting here thinking about you? And it's like, nah, bro, you're irrelevant. No offense. Like, they're worried about themselves. They're worried about them. They're worried about what you're doing and how it's affecting them. And they're reacting to that. It has to do with you, but really not really. And especially when it's like you feel like the reaction or the response or whatever is coming at you that someone is giving you is completely unwarranted, you don't deserve it. Like, if you feel like you don't deserve it, then you need to know that that's not for you. Like, they're coming at your neck because of something that's going on with them. And it's so funny I said that like that, but yeah, when people come at your neck like that and it's definitely unwarranted, even if it is warranted, that reaction is very like telling of what is going on with them. Like, a person does not react volatilely. I don't even want to use that word. I'm like, am I saying it right? A person does not react so like intense and so, cutthroat like that unless there's something going on in here. Like, it's not regulated. It's dysregulated, disjointed, unbalanced in here. And probably up here too. They probably worried about a whole lot going on. You could, for all you know, they probably about to lose their house. They probably about to be homeless. They stressed. These people are stressed. They stressed. So it's like, whatever you did, all you did is agitate them. And you like allowed them a reason that's not valid, but for them it was enough to just pour out the floodgates of stress that they were feeling that they needed to allow to pass through. Like, you can't keep that in there. I mean, sure you can, but you know what's going to happen to you though, right? Like, that turns into cancer, that turns into illness, that kills you, it literally kills you. So when people react at you and you like take it on like you're the problem, you should really consider how much you think about yourself. And I don't mean it like self-centered in a I'm the best kind of way, because that's what people think. People always think that, and that's so not true. It's so not true. And I'm laughing because I'm just like, it's the irony and the paradox of humanity for me, like human nature. The irony and the paradox of people thinking you're self-centered because you think you're the shit. And actually what it is that you're self-centered because you're insecure. You're self-centered because you are judging yourself so like intensely, right? It's detrimental now. It's like you look at yourself with disgust, or you belittle yourself, you berate yourself, you talk about yourself crazy, and you talk to yourself crazy. And because you do that, you think that's how everybody feels about you. And again, who are you? Like, that seems harsh, but it's almost like it's the reality check that we be needing sometimes. Like, you really think you're that, like, I don't know, above or the best? Like, you think that the way you think about yourself is the way everybody thinks about you? Like, that sounds not like, you good up here? Who thinks like that? We all think like that, I'm sure. I mean, I know I did. But then when you say it out loud, when you really think about it, it's like, for you to think that the way you think about yourself everybody else does, I don't care if it's a good way or a bad way. Like, both of those feel very narcissistic. Very narcissistic. Like, very big-headed. Even if you're thinking badly about yourself. Even if you're thinking lowly about yourself. Now I'm about to get real. And I'm gonna cut this up. But